What's up, everybody? I'm back with more Dragon Ball The Breakers news. And I was putting this off for a long time. As you can see, this is on the 2nd of December, and I honestly thought they was going to do more between now and then, but they haven't. So let's go ahead and talk about this right here. So they put out a tweet talking about a balance update they did on the 2nd. And the last update, they actually posted a link where you could click on it and read about more of the update. This time, they didn't even want to do that. They told you to go look at the game itself to figure out what's going on. So already you can tell that this isn't going to be a big update. But I wanted to look at it and see how it applies, see if it's even worth getting back into Breakers at this time. Okay, so this is what they posted on the Breakers lobby board. Slightly lower the speed of certain key blasts. And I'm wondering who they meant specifically, like certain key blasts, like Frieza versus Boos and Cells. I mean, everyone needed to get lowered across the board, but they said certain ones, so I'm not really sure what that means. I played the game since, and I got to see how everyone else played. I couldn't tell who got hit the hardest, but you can definitely tell that everyone was lowered across the board. The range of certain key blasts has been adjusted so that locked targets that are too far away will not be hit by these attacks. They definitely needed that because it was fucking impossible to escape a raider prior. I mean, before the update, it was already almost impossible to escape Frieza. Then after the update, you just weren't going to escape. And I talked about this in my last video I did. And I got to play a little bit. I'm going to pull that up here in a second so you'll actually get to see some of that in action. But this is definitely a needed change where it couldn't just lock on as far away as they were. Slightly lower the damage of certain key blasts. Again, that certain word. It's when they say certain, I'm trying to figure out if they mean these specific raiders or when they say certain, they just mean like key blasts versus like super attacks. Although you think they would clarify that more. This is why they need to put it on their website instead of just putting it on the game, where you can't really get a good grasp of what they're doing. So as you can see here, I'm shooting in this video, and it's slightly slower. You can tell it's slightly slower, but the real thing is when you actually fight against another player, and I'm going to pull this up right here. Okay, so in this clip, I'm fighting a Cell at level 2, and as you can see, he can't shoot nearly as fast. And his range isn't as good either. As you can see, the key blasts are kind of stopping after a while. They're not nearly as accurate, so it's a lot easier to fight them, especially at a distance now. So during my 2 hours of recording, I couldn't find a single person that was playing as Frieza. So the next time it came time for me to be the raider, I had to end up picking Frieza. And I'm usually a Cell main, so that was kind of weird for me. And I think, side note, I think everyone's just protesting raiders, because there was a lot of people playing Cell when I was playing, and I thought that was kind of cool because I think he's the most balanced. But anyway, so this is what I found out when I was testing him. So at level 1, he stops when he shoots, so you can't get a feel of his speed. So when I was level 2, I went around, I was destroying buildings, and right here I was trying to get the range down, and it seems slower. But the problem is when you actually start fighting against players. So I found a player here, and I decided to track them with Zarbon. Now look how fast I went from taking down their barrier to actually taking them down. Look at that. The speed of that is ridiculous, and they had no way to dodge that. You couldn't dodge it because it was an actual beam. Okay, so what does this actually mean? Well, Breakers went through, and they reverted, not even completely reverted, they slightly nerfed one of the buffs they gave the Raiders, Key Blast. Does it really help? Well, with people like Cell and Boo, it does. But with Frieza, the buff doesn't really matter. He's still so accurate. He still shoots really fast. I mean, the buff wasn't going to hurt him, or the nerf wasn't going to hurt him either way. So can you return to the game? Well, maybe, sort of, if you want to play against Boo and Cell. Even then, there's still some changes they still need to take back. So I don't think the game's worth returning to right now. Hopefully they do a little bit more in the future. But, yeah, that's all for my update.